criticisms because I have nothing to hide. I got no filter. I don't get paid by Tesla. I'm here to trash them if they make a bad truck. And on the powertrain side, I would say this has got to be one of the most unreliable electric powertrains of the year, which is really unfortunate because the truck is so strong and really cool and I love it. But man, the powertrain issues are terrible. This is right after the motor went into a fault state. So I just pulled up service mode and I can see that, you know, in this case, the DI state is enable. In this case, the DI state is fault.
Thank you to our sponsors for today's video: Ionna, InfyPower, Eaton, and EVCS. Ionna, North America's premier charging network. With unmatched commitment to elevating the customer experience, Ionna is opening America's roads to all EVs, giving drivers the coverage they need, the reliability they deserve, and the amenities they crave. Also, InfyPower, the largest EV charger module provider with over 3 million power modules running reliably worldwide. Their latest G2 collection features ultra-high power density and efficiency for EV charging and energy storage integration. InfyPower, innovation for your power. And Eaton. Eaton is a one-stop shop for implementing reliable and innovative EV charging infrastructure at your site. Across all applications, Eaton's EV charging infrastructure, hardware, and software gives you the scalability, flexibility, and intelligence you need to charge today and scale up tomorrow. Learn more at eaton.com/EVCI. And EVCS 2025, the premier EV charging expo. From utilities to policymakers and tech innovators, the key players in shaping EV infrastructure are coming together at EVCS in Las Vegas on March 25th through 27th. We would love to see you there.
Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome to a disappointing Out of Spec Reviews video. This is my Tesla Cybertruck. A lot of you guys know that I was lucky enough to buy this almost a year ago. And so I've been working on and planning a really fun 1-year ownership update of my Tesla Cybertruck. This is the tri-motor Cyber Beast. I've done everything with this truck. And this is not a replacement for my 1-year ownership update. That will come very soon. However, I have some bad news as we're just about 2 weeks shy of my 1-year anniversary, and we've just passed 25,000 miles on my Cybertruck. I have a dead motor in the back, and the truck feels like it has 50 horsepower, and things are not looking good. So in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what happened, what a little bit of the service history has been, a little bit of my frustrations actually with the powertrain on this truck. And yep, that'll be it. Should be a relatively quick one, but I want to start the log of the motor failure on my Tesla Cybertruck. Now, I'm sure this video will have no controversial comments at all, and I think you guys know my position in general, which is I review cars, I love cars, doesn't matter really what type of cars, combustion cars, electric cars, hydrogen cars. I think they're all pretty interesting. And one thing I think we can all agree on was this was really the most interesting, talked about, controversial car of 2024. And to me, I just love weird and wacky stuff. So I really felt like I wanted to have it. I really wanted to, have it on our channel because I feel like we're not, always just pushing Tesla fanboy stuff over here. I wanted a realistic, review series on this truck for you guys. And man, did we do that. The first thing we did when we bought this truck was race it across the country from Jacksonville to San Diego nonstop against all of the electric truck competition. So we had Lightning, Rivian, Silverado, and Cyber blasting across the country, and man, was it really fun. And this actually came in second place, which I was really surprised about. Then we went through and did all of our towing tests, and actually it tows really well, but the range is awful when you tow. It just has too small of a battery pack in the Cybertruck. It really needs double the capacity. I don't think anyone would complain with a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack in this thing like the Sierra and Silverado EV gets. Beyond that, I'll save you the rest for the 1-year ownership review. I just know some people are going to watch this video. They're going to go, oh, look at this Tesla owner with a dead Cybertruck motor. that's me. That's very accurate, but also wanted to provide a little bit of context as to the reasoning why I bought this truck, because we really wanted to demystify it. I let friends of mine review it. It went to Matt Farah from the Smoking Tire. It went to Motor Trend. It did some stuff with them. It went to Everyday Driver. It went to, I don't know, countless outlets, because Tesla wasn't really doing a huge press truck thing. And because I'm friends with a lot of these people, I'm like, yeah, take it, drive it, go see what it's like. And it's been really, really fun. My personal opinion on the truck is probably way more positive than the average person. I love the steer-by-wire. I love the technology pushing the 48 volt. I love the overall performance of the truck in Baja mode. You can have so much fun. In fact, every graphic that opens up out of spec reviews video is this thing completely sideways with a wheel up in the air, sort of tripoding on dirt. It's just been such a tremendously fun vehicle to have, and I have zero regrets about buying it. However, I bought this to make a honest and thorough 1-year deep review on the truck. And I actually signed a contract with Tesla that says I got to keep it for a year. Now, a lot of people say, okay, you could get out of that. You could have sold it and doubled your money at the time. There was a time period when I bought this truck, I could have gotten over $200,000. And I was offered countless offers to sell this thing. And I didn't, because my viewpoint is, well, I told Tesla I wouldn't do that. And I needed it for content, of course. And yeah, I didn't. So I still have it, and I still need to hold on to it for another few weeks. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, if I was going to sell it or trade it. I've been thinking about a Sierra EV. I've been thinking, okay, what's next? We've had it for a year. Let's try and move on. I've got 25,000 miles on it. I don't know. And then recently, Alyssa and I came to the decision that we just love it so much. It's so great with the dogs that we're going to hold on to it. We're going to end up keeping this. And actually, I would buy it from the company, in a sense, where it would just stay. We really do love the truck. But let me walk you through some issues that it has, some powertrain related issues that I think are totally unacceptable when you're spending over $100,000. Keep in mind, this truck was $120,000 when I bought it, because it's a Foundation Series tri-motor. And I was able to get some cool things from it. I got my PowerShare home backup installed. I got the light bar installed. Finally, it took about 9 months after I bought the truck to get everything that I paid for to come with it, but we got it all sorted. And so, other than the white wrap and the Martian wheels, which every Cybertruck owner just needs to get, these Martian Cyber Rovers, they're just sick wheels. These are bead locked on Falcon Wild Peak. Just a great overall package. I'm actually going to go swap these for Nokian tires is my plan, but that'll be another video. That'll be in the 1-year update. There's been a problem with Cybertrucks, especially the early ones, lunching motors. And what I mean by that is I had a suspicion that there were some motor failures related to Cybertrucks happening shortly after I bought this truck. I think it was like right after our cross-country trip, and I'd see a couple guys post about, okay, my Cybertruck went in for a motor. Some people I know, friends of mine who are also content creators, got new motors and never said anything. And I'm like, why are you protecting Tesla? That's not our job. Our job is to share our ownership experience, which is also why I'm so happy that we have this truck on the channel and we can document the real problems, because I have nothing to hide. I got no filter. I don't get paid by Tesla. I'm here to trash them if they make a bad truck. And on the powertrain side, I would say this has got to be one of the most unreliable electric powertrains of the year, which is really unfortunate because the truck is so strong and really cool and I love it. But man, the powertrain issues are terrible. So I started hearing about permanent magnet motor faults. And before I explain that, let me explain how the Cybertruck tri-motors are laid out and the dual motor. In my truck, I have a permanent magnet primary axle on the front, which means that this truck, being a 3-motor variant, is primarily front wheel drive. Every time I pull away from a light, every time I give it a little bit of throttle, every time I'm highway cruising, it's front wheel drive. I'll get into why that drives me absolutely insane, and I hate that later on. But that's something to note, is this has a sort of the standard permanent magnet motor primary drive on the front. On the rear, if you come back here, I have 2 induction motors, 2 individual, independently controlled, mechanically unlinked induction motors in the back. And that means that these can basically freewheel without flux related losses. There are some gear train related losses, but it's for efficiency where you'd have induction in the rear. Typically, induction motors are more bulletproof. They last a really long time. Not so much in the case of my truck. I'll explain what happened. But in general, induction motors are kind of a known thing. Tesla's been doing induction motors. All the early Model S's were induction motors. And so anyway, this has two of those in the back. The standard Cybertruck, which I'm not sure what the mix is between the differences, but the average normal dual motor Cybertruck that you probably see on the road without the beast badge on the back, has my front motor, the permanent magnet motor, in the correct location in the rear. So a standard Cybertruck is actually rear drive most of the time, rear biased. You pull away from a light, you're cruising on the highway, the rear axle's pushing you along, helps with vehicle balance, just helps with the overall drivability of the vehicle. And then in the front of the dual motor, there's a single induction motor, because again, it's just one motor per each axle. And that's, I'm not sure if it's related or completely unrelated to the induction motors in the back of this truck. My guess is they are unrelated. This has a bespoke drive unit enclosure for the dual motor rear unit in the tri-motor truck. So that's the thing. So my permanent magnet motor is up here. When I first got my truck, we put a ton of miles on it very quickly. I think we got 10 or 15,000 miles within the first 2 or 3 months. I did an update back then. And actually what Tesla did was they messaged me and they said, hey, we want to replace your front motor. And I thought, but I don't have an issue with my front motor. Why do you want to exchange the entire motor on the front of my truck? And they said they wanted my old one back for an engineering study, which is very possible. And the truck went in for service to have this done, and it took weeks. I don't know if we were waiting on parts or if they were backed up at the service center, but it sat there for a long time. I think I was traveling at the time, so I wasn't really pushing them along. And yeah, essentially I got a new front motor. And I would say that the noise went down a little bit. It felt a little bit more refined, but I still had some significant drivability issues with the tri-motor truck that I'll get into later. So this truck's already had a motor replaced. Again, it could have been truly an engineering study, or Tesla knew this truck was on YouTube very often doing testing, going up against competition, and they wanted to preemptively replace my front motor with another unit so that it didn't break down on camera. I'm just speculating, but I'm just here to, I know what the comments are going to say, and so I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. All I can say is we got a message in the Tesla app, bring it in. They replaced the motor. I got a new front motor. Didn't really notice many changes other than it got a little bit quieter. Most Cybertrucks that needed this new permanent magnet motor, again, were the dual motor configuration. And so most Cybertrucks have rear motor failures. Some of them were replaced under an engineering study. Again, I know other content creator friends of mine got the new motor under the study, quote unquote, and didn't say anything. I don't understand why, but they didn't. So it doesn't really matter. I thought it was kind of cool. New motor, thanks. And so, yeah, most of that permanent magnet motor issues have been well documented, and it kind of plagues the early Cybertrucks. I'm not sure what the exact fault state they go into or the failure mode, but there is a problem. Just yesterday, I have not really heard about this happening online very much because I don't think there's many tri-motors out there, and there's probably not many tri-motors with a ton of miles on them. Again, this one has 25,000 miles on it. Yesterday, I was pulling out of my neighborhood, making a left turn, and accelerate it, get onto the street. And I drive pretty quickly. Occasionally, I was like, let's see how traction control is tuned. And so got the steering set, matted the throttle. Tesla's traction control is usually second to none. Absolutely amazing response time and vehicle dynamics. Matted the throttle, and then it just pushed wide, which I was like, you would think, my impression was, man, if I was Tesla tuning the drivetrain in this situation where I was turning left onto a road, mat the throttle, and it just kind of understeered out. I was like, I would have really juiced that outside rear motor, backed off the inside rear motor, done a lot of torque vectoring mechanically, and just tried to get the truck even just a slight bit of rotation. And I'm like, that seems odd. And I drive this truck hard very often. It does have a very safe, very over-intrusive ESP system. And I was like, okay, well, that's just kind of annoying. Normally when I drive this truck hard, I go into Baja mode and then you're just full sideways everywhere. It's hilarious. It's like an 850 horsepower super truck that you can drift everywhere. It's just, amazing to drive this thing fast. The faster you drive this Cybertruck after a software update, the better it gets. When I first got this truck, the opposite was true. It was terrible to drive fast. Felt like driving a spreadsheet on wheels, and it was just all doing weird stuff. Now it's fully dialed. So after I did that turn, Matt the throttle go wide, I'm like, man, that just felt weird. Didn't feel totally right. Don't know what happened there. It took about 15 seconds, I would say. And then we got an alert on the screen that says, turtle mode, drive with caution, rear motor power disabled. And I'll actually show you that warning in here. Come on in here. I'll have you go into this side. I'll pop around to the other side. And I thought, well, that's weird. Maybe, you know, just turning left caused a weird fault state. Alyssa, if you wouldn't mind hitting the brake pedal to power it up. Thank you very much. You can see right rear motor disabled, power limited, okay to drive, schedule service. Now you would think it would be connected because I've already scheduled service, and I'll show you that in a minute, but right rear motor disabled. I can pull up the alerts right here. Okay to drive, DI_A009. And what I'm going to do is go back in time, play the clip for you yesterday night, right after it happened, and I'll go into service mode and show you what I found. Okay, guys, well, this is right after the motor went into a fault state. So I just pulled up service mode, and I can see that, you know, in this case, the DI state is enable. In this case, the DI state is fault. You know, high voltage seems to be okay, so we don't seem to have a loss of high voltage. Yeah, so it's like the drive inverter. So we may have lost an inverter, and I'm not totally sure why. So what I'm going to do is take us out of service mode again. I've already got out of the car, got back in, tried to do all the restart stuff. And yeah, what a bummer. Okay, so we've lost a motor just now. We're on our way to Texas Roadhouse, but now we'll just get there a little more slowly. By the way, if you're curious about how much power is left over, it's really interesting because I'm going to floor it, and I'll get up to speed just here pretty gently. So I'll come to a stop and then just mat the throttle for you. So from a stop to full throttle, basically nothing happens. That's wide open. What it feels like to me is it's not even it's definitely running just front motor. It feels like both rear motors are off, even though one is faulted. And it's not even giving me everything the front permanent magnet motor can do. It feels like it's giving me everything the front motor would do normally before it blends the rear motors in. So with the tri-motor setup, the front motor is the primary drive. And so this truck's primarily front wheel drive all the time. And when you cross a certain threshold of acceleration, it will then blend in the rear motors to balance out the drivetrain so you don't just get front wheel spin everywhere. But here, when I floor it, it's definitely not the maximum of what the front motor can do. And it's very similar to probably what it's like at the blend point, right when it goes, okay, that's the most the front motor will do, and then we'll ask for more from the rear, and then if you give even more, then we'll give all motors all juice. So, you know, glad I have redundancy of 2 extra motors at the moment, but and I'm not worried about it. Truck's under warranty, no big deal. I mean, I got to bring it in for service, but I had to bring it in for service for something else anyway, so add it to the list. It really doesn't inconvenience me much. But wide open throttle, it ain't doing too much up here. Guys, so that's what happened last night. And so this morning, woke up, just went out to the truck again to see if maybe it had cleared the fault state. The answer is no. And so it seems like after doing a little bit of research, there's this rumbling of maybe some induction motors in the rear of the Cyber Beasts, basically frying inverters. Either there's a pyro fuse in there, or there's an issue with the exact inverter, but it seems like it's maybe not super common. I just don't think there's that many tri-motor Cybertrucks out there driven in mass. And also doing some more research, I found that there's a recall on the tri-motor variant of the truck to get the inverters replaced. So not only did they have the permanent magnet motor issues that were plagued on the front axle of the tri-motor and the rear axle of the dual motor, the tri-motor also needs motor work. So I've never heard of a new electric car launching, especially from such an established brand that honestly builds some of the most robust and great powertrains that Tesla does, and needing every single motor having issues from the factory. And, you know, I think that's totally unacceptable. So many Cybertrucks were shipped out of the market into other markets. I know that's not Tesla's problem really to deal with, but think about guys who have exported these things to China, to UAE, to Europe, to, you know, wherever they go to, and now they're just going to be completely dead. And it's really, I'm sure, hard to get third-party motors for these things just because they're still so new and that supply chain for the repair market hasn't really been built up yet. That's just one thing that comes to mind. But of course, that's not the main problem. Tesla's here to warranty vehicles and sell vehicles in our market. And, you know, I'm sure Tesla service will take care of it without question. They did on my front motor. They've fixed my cars for years. We have thankfully a fantastic service center here in Loveland, Colorado. But typically they're very quick to get the cars in for service. Check this out. This is my Tesla app. I don't have the key set up on this one. This is my other phone. I made an appointment this morning, and it's currently, what is today's date, Alyssa? It's March 7th. Okay. I made an appointment this morning. It's going to be 11 days until I can get this truck in for service. And that's 11 days of basically driving a 50 horsepower Cybertruck. Or 50 horsepower might be a little bit low. It just really feels lethargic. And, you know, while that might be okay, it also means I don't have four-wheel drive capability. I'm running a two-wheel drive truck at the moment. It means that I really shouldn't tow with it. And so my usability of this as a truck, which I tow with this very often, I use it as a truck, has significantly diminished. Now, problems happen. I get it. And one thing that I wish I was made aware of was the recall. Now, it's very possible that Tesla did send a letter to us. I'm really bad at checking the mail. Saying that there was a recall. But even if they did, I probably would have thought initially, I'd probably skim through it, recall, Cybertruck, I don't know. And I probably would have thought it would have been the permanent magnet motor issue that this truck's already had a motor replaced for. I probably wouldn't have read the fine print if it, and I saw a printed, a posted version of the recall somewhere that indicated it was from the rear induction motor system. So it's a known issue what my truck has. Tesla's recalled or asked for all the tri-motors back, but I really wish I would have gotten a notification in my Tesla app saying, hey, your truck has a known fault that could severely diminish its performance, and you know, bring it in and let's get it serviced. So there's also some good and some interesting with this as well. As far as I can tell, with the rear passenger motor being down completely, it shuts off the entire rear drive system of the truck. And I feel like I'm only running front wheel drive. I'm almost 100% certain the truck is very front wheel drive, or that rear left is just helping a tiny bit, but I think it's off. A really cool thing about having multiple motors is I can still drive this truck even though the inverter's faulted on that side. That's actually kind of cool. I've had a major fault state where the motor's gone. Unlike a combustion car, like if you throw a rod through the block, you're just done on the side of the road. Here, my Cybertruck's still usable. I was able to drive it here to the hub this morning. I'm able to drive it around town, do whatever. It feels okay as long as I don't need to pull out in front of someone or merge quickly. And I think that's just a great limp home mode. Now, many vehicles, all modern vehicles have some sort of limp home mode or service or turtle mode or something like that. There's always these reduced power fault states that they go into. But to suffer such a catastrophic fault, like a significant, if not the most significant part of the electric motor failing completely, the drive inverter, the truck can still drive. That's so cool. Also why I always say, you know, get dual motors if you can. It's just great redundancy to have it. Now, some automakers probably would shut down the entire high voltage system if this was a problem. Tesla is really cool in the sense where they're still letting that other motor work. So that's interesting to me. I'm not saying that's an excuse. That's a good thing. I just, as a car nerd, it's a really interesting point for me to really think about there. Back to the service topic. The service is not scheduled for another 11 days to get this truck in. Then I don't know how long it's going to take for them to get a new rear motor or a new inverter. Is it going to be done properly? I'm not totally sure. And we'll see. Now, it's very possible if I message Tesla service and say, hey, like, I really need my truck back immediately. Let's get this thing going. You know, they might be able to pull me forwards. And I haven't really spoken to them yet to know that for sure. So it's possible we could get prioritized. we're actually on our way. We're going to South by Southwest right now to Austin, so it's probably not a big deal. We'll be back before the service appointment, but whatever. It is what it is. And I like to kind of show the process of owning these vehicles, kind of like, just this is how service works. It's a good test for me as well to see how fast Tesla service is reacting. I just want to go outside and share a couple more problems that I have with the truck related to the drivetrain, and then we'll move on. Because I mentioned this was probably the worst electric drivetrain of the year. I have some major issues with this truck and the powertrain. Let's go. So guys, just finishing up, I've got 2 more problems with the truck. Come on down over here. I just washed the truck not long ago, but if you look down the side of the truck, this has been happening for a few months, and I've been meaning to schedule service for it anyway. I just figured we'll wait for a minute. Look at all this down here, these black lines, right? This is all grease, and it's really bad back here as well. You can see all this. Back when the truck was stainless, we had this, and I thought, oh, that's weird. Maybe I hit something in the road, then I'd wash it off, it would come back, then I'd wash it off, and it would come back. And I think what's happening is I'm getting axle grease or CV joint grease due to a leak or some fault, probably with the front passenger half shaft that's spraying down the side of the truck. So I've been meaning to bring it in for service. I've visually inspected the boot and it looks okay. So I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from, but it's not on the driver's side. And I've also asked other Cybertruck owners if they've seen something like this, and the answer is no. But that's another drivetrain related, I'm pretty sure. I'll wait for the full diagnosis from Tesla, but it seems like another driveline related issue on my truck. And I'm gonna leave you with my final and most annoying thing about the whole Cybertruck. Love the truck, think it's very usable, very practical. Regardless of everyone's angry at you when you drive it down the road, whatever, it doesn't bother me. I think what's really the main problem here is being the tri-motor, having the front motor be the primary axle. And the way the kinematics of the suspension are set up and the overall powertrain tuning means, again, when you pull off the line, it's front driven biased. So when you hit a bump, when you're under light to medium acceleration, you get this huge kaboom off the front end. And it's so aggressive, it's so loud. It's not like a clunk, it's not like a thunk. It feels like the front subframe is maxing out its joints and it wants to exit the vehicle. And I don't know if it's been getting worse, but I think it's kind of getting worse. It's really bad. And I've tried it on the stock wheel and tire setup. I've tried it on this wheel and tire setup. It's a little bit better on these because the tires are a little bit more forgiving, and I do tend to run them a little bit lower PSI, which is not great for range, but I really just try to take some air out of it to let the tire work over those bumps, because you just get this massive hit on the front axle, sort of an axle hop situation. There is a mode in the truck called slippery surface mode that will engage all the motors working at the same time. And so then I do have some help, and it reduces the load off the front axle. That helps, but you have to go like 4 menus deep every time you drive the truck. I don't want to do that. I really hope Tesla can solve this front motor clunk, because I firmly believe it's a drivability issue. No vehicle should perform like that over a small, negative surface like a manhole cover when you're accelerating, which we have many of in the northern Colorado area, or even just bumpy roads. You just boom, 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 boom from the front axle. It scares people. It's crazy. And I've talked to other tri-motor Cybertruck owners that experience it. I feel like my truck might even be worse than theirs. And I was going to do a whole video on that, and then my motor failed. So once it's fixed, maybe we'll dive into that. There's a lot of powertrain stuff that I'm just not pleased with here on this truck. So again, it's a very disappointing update from my side. I'm still going to make a really in-depth 1-year ownership review, going through every time it's been in for service, which is quite a bit, and all of the problems and some of the adventures we've had and some of the reasons why I love it. I understand that I'm in a unique position where I was able to have one of the very early Cybertrucks. This is in the VIN 100 range. We got super lucky to get this one. It's been really fun to make all the content, but that doesn't mean everything is perfect. And in fact, many things are not perfect. And I'm here to share that experience with you, both good and bad. We've shared a lot of good about this truck, probably more than most general automotive outlets would. But that's my experience with it. I think it's cool. I think it's wild. I think it's funny that people hate it. It's such a unique piece on the road, and that's why I love cars. It's why I love my Renault Twizy and why I love this thing so much. So thank you so much for watching. I will keep you guys updated as it goes into service, as it gets diagnosed, as it gets fixed. Let me know what you think Tesla should do. I posted this on Twitter last night. People think Tesla should buy the truck back because this is now my second motor issue that it's had to go in for to get replaced. Seems pretty crazy. Maybe that's the right approach. Probably not. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What would you do if you owned this truck and now you've had a motor failure and it's got to go back in again for another motor? Thanks for watching. See you in another one again soon. Bye-bye.
Guys, I just want to conclude this video by saying I didn't even share all of my issues with the powertrain of the tri-motor and maybe some more issues with my truck in this video. There's a couple last things I just want to harp on, and maybe I'll do an out-of-spec podcast on them. But the first is my truck also feels super weird where when I hit the throttle, it pulls right, and when I go into regen, it pulls left. So if you're going straight, you can almost handle bends in the road just by changing throttle and regen. And I've done that with after an alignment, and it just feels like something in the front end, maybe after the motor replacement, wasn't put back together properly. So that's definitely worth showing you guys and going more in depth on. I haven't heard other Cybertruck owners complain about that, so maybe that's more specific to my particular truck. But one thing that is really annoying is because the tri-motor has that front permanent magnet motor and it's working all the time, the tri-motor's way noisier than the dual motor in terms of the noise you hear up front. And most of that noise is pleasant. It's cool. You get to hear that motor working, and I generally love it. But there's certain speed and load ranges where you get this super high frequency inverter whine that just is piercing you in the ear. And you go, man, you would just think that the NVH engineers would have had this sorted. And I just drive so many other electric trucks like Lightning. You hear nothing. It's just amazingly quiet. And so, yeah, I feel like definitely leave some noise from the motors because we all like the feedback. I think most of us car guys like to hear the electric motors really work. But those high frequency inverter whines, sort of that, yeah, just like ear-piercing sounds really gets to me in this truck. And it doesn't really happen on the highway. It's more like 20 to 40 miles an hour, light cruising, driving through the neighborhood, driving around town. Man, does it really drive me crazy. Anyway, more complaints than that. I can do a whole deep dive on it. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll now see you on another one again soon. Bye-bye.